scheduling and field service software for your pest control business. Pull out your hose and grab your can. We're about to integrate another Pest Geek podcast. Hi, everybody. Frank Hernandez here, and welcome to the Pest Geek podcast, bringing you the latest information on pests, products, and politics from today's leading industry sources to help you start, manage, and grow your pest control business. Hey there, and welcome to another edition of the Pest Geek podcast. I am Frank Hernandez, your Pest Geek. So glad to be here on this Monday. Glad to be back. I'm almost back to normal. Everything is looking up on my recovery, so hasn't been as bad as I thought it was going to be, except for the not being able to do too much stuff. Went out. I was not supposed to get back to work until the 18th on light duty. And, of course, duty calls, and you have to be going out and going on properties and talking to people and giving estimates. And that's pretty much been my light duty. So I started somewhere around the 15th. I got out of the house and started heading out and driving. And it's very uncomfortable. You know, I have to have my pants. I can't have them really tight. So I'm not going to show up on a work site in shorts or something light. And I have to wear my shirt tucked out, and because I can't really tighten it up really good, so just not really comfortable. But other than that, recovering really well. Excited to be here and coming back to normal, I guess, what normal is for me anyway. But I was looking at the last podcast we talked about the importance of having real accounting software and not just invoicing software. That can do estimates and things like that, but having real accounting to where you have real numbers and figures and you're watching your business, you know where everything's at. And the second call that I get on this that's related to it is obviously scheduling and field service software. And let me tell you that until recent, there is a lot of field service software out there available. And we're going to discuss the pros and cons of what I went through when I was looking for a field service software, going from CRM software, where I started because we didn't need that much, info and stuff in the field. And when you go from one technician to two technicians, you more than double your headaches with being out in the field. Trying to manage all this, trying to manage the employee, managing the accounts, the information that's coming back. When you're doing everything and you're a solopreneur and you're the one that's in control of everything and you're micromanaging everything to death sometimes, and you're having to let go of those reins and bring in somebody and bring in a technician, bring in other employees, you have to be willing to give up some control. And if you're one of those control freaks that nobody does it like you, nobody can do it better than you, you're going to have a heck of a time trying to grow your business. But if you can put things in place, start putting things in place, that's going to help you be able to bring in other people, grow your business, go beyond the solopreneur. And you're going to run into the first thing that you should be preparing for is how you're going to operate things in the field. What are your protocols? What are your procedures that you're going to have to teach? And remember that when you're the brainchild of this operation, you're the one that knows your business better than anybody, or at least you should. And you're going to bring in people that aren't going to do it exactly like you. It's never going to happen. You can't transfer 10, 15, 20 years of experience and knowledge over to people that are just getting in, or even if they are in the industry, you still can't. People don't read minds. They're never going to do it your way. So you have to start putting in policies and procedures into place that allow you to grow, and then start testing and moving on and growing and learning from the headaches and the mistakes. It's just part of the game. So you can alleviate some of that by having very good reporting, very good accountability in the field, policies, procedures in place that you can train people on instead of just having everything in your head and hoping somebody can read your mind. Nobody can read your mind. That is very frustrating for employees. Entrepreneurs suffer from that. They want people to come in and learn and do, and they either micromanage everything to death, or they just get frustrated with the whole process. And when I started looking at field service software, the process took about 2 years to get real information. We've gone through a couple of field service softwares already that we used, and we couldn't get it to do what we wanted to do in our business. And a lot of the things that are going to require, if you have policies and procedures in place, when you start getting into software that you wanted to do what you wanted to, you might end up changing some of the things that you do to accommodate the software. There isn't going to be a perfect piece of software out there that's going to do every single thing that you wish you could do when you're a solopreneur, unless you are a multi-unit, multi-route business pulling in a couple $1 million a year, where you can have a developer develop whatever you want. So you're not going to get everything that you possibly want, but maybe you can learn something through my heartache, my process, because it was a bit of a heartache. It was a big pain to try to get what you want because of the knowledge that you have and what you understand about the business and what you understand about pest control. And so it does get a little hairy. But having said that, by the way, if you want to join the podcast, you want to comment on something, you want to give us some feedback on what's going on, you would like to be a guest on the show, give us a call. 707-395-7378. And on there, you can call us 24/7, leave a recorded message. We do return calls. We do return emails. You don't want to be on the air. You don't want people to know your company name. You don't want people to know who you are. You can always come on the show and be Deep Throat from somewhere in the country. And, we can keep you undercover. We can even mask your voice so nobody knows who you are. Or you can just go online, shoot us an email. We do appreciate those. We get a lot of those. Go on Facebook, go on Twitter, comment on the stuff we're doing. Start a community there of talking about issues and things, because there are a lot of knowledgeable people that listen to this podcast about the industry, and a lot of people can help. So, join the conversation. I'd like to give a shout out to Jane Parsons out of Dallas, Texas, who liked us on Facebook. Thank you so much for following us and for liking us. Also, I'd like to give a big shout out to Pest Scholar, at Pest Scholar on Twitter, training and support for Core and more. So they do pest control training, I guess, for CEUs. And thank you for following this podcast and for being part of the community. I wanted to cover the tech tip. If you're crawling into crawl spaces, you're doing big, nasty roach cleanouts. We just finished doing a massive one for public housing here, and we got thousands and thousands of roaches crawling all over the place. Or you're doing a bed bug service. You need to protect yourself, and you need to protect yourself from not only bringing home a bed bug, but also bringing home a disease on you or putting yourself at risk. And what I do, if I'm doing anything like a bed bug job, or I'm crawling into a crawl space to do any type of service under there, whether it be a proofing job or anything that we're doing, and we're doing a really big roach job where, if you didn't know, roaches, they carry about on their body and the carcasses just about 14 million bacterial load, and they are known to carry up to 50 different diseases, viruses, and protozoa. Also, the excrement can have about the same. It's about half, or to about a 7 million bacterial load. So you've got thousands and thousands of roaches. You're going to have a lot of bacteria. And the way to protect yourself is obviously using your gloves, using masks, respirators, but also getting a coverall or a bodysuit. And if you're going to be doing something that's not going to be tearing up and you're going to be in it all day, you're just going to be in there for maybe an hour, a couple hours, I recommend going with the Tyvek extra large coverall with hood and boot. You need to protect those shoes. I mean, you can get a bed bug in your shoe and bring it home and bring it into your house. So unless you're taking your shoes off in the garage or outside when you come in, you can also bring it into somebody else's home, and that's even worse. So, wear the suit with the booties and the headgear, and dispose of it on site. And, tape it up on your ankles. That way you make sure that you can monitor and you can see the insects. These are white suits. They will protect you. They're about $13. You're saying, geez, $13, that's a lot. Well, it's a lot better to spend $13 and charge the customer for it than to bring home a disease or bring home an insect. So protect yourself and invest in good PPE for yourself and for your techs. I guess there's not only are people getting illnesses from mosquito-borne diseases, but apparently pets and animals are also getting it. According to Dr. Terry Hensley from Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service veterinarian and Texas A&M Veterinary Medical Diagnostic Laboratory, this guy needs an extra fold-out on his business card. He's also the assistant director in College Station. Hensley advises horse owners to take their horses to be vaccinated against core diseases like West Nile virus, Eastern equine encephalitis, and Western equine encephalitis. Hensley said the American Association of Equine Practitioners recommend vaccinating for these three diseases, along with rabies and tetanus. In 2015, Texas experienced a high number of West Nile cases in the western part of the state, as well as the Panhandle and the Gulf Coast regions. Cases of Eastern equine encephalitis were reported in southwest Texas, particularly in bayou areas where there are large amounts of standing water that can harbor mosquito populations. So maybe they should come up with a write-up clinic, kind of like you do with the pharmacies to get your shots, your flu shots. You have one for, just write up and have the horse vaccinated, although he might feel a pinch and that might be unpleasant for you. In any case, this was brought to you by IPM South. There's a link to this article. It's a very neat article by IPM South. IPM South and IPM North put up a lot of good material. So go ahead and check them out. You can check out the link to the site. And also, just as a reminder, that the Pest Geek podcast is partially sponsored by my wallet and Audible. So if you like good audio content, and you can get a free audiobook by going to audibletrial.com/pestgeek, and get a free book on us and check it out. Get a free trial. Really neat. I use it all the time. I've had it for years. Currently, I think I have close to about 80 books that I've listened to. I listen to probably a book a month and try to stay up on what's going on around the world and things that interest me. And a book is a great way to do it that doesn't interfere with my work, the things that I'm doing during the day that, doesn't require me to really think a whole lot. So as I'm in drive time or something like that, it's a great way. And if you like podcasts, you're going to like audiobooks. I like to talk to you about the requirements that I had for the field service software, because you might wonder, how did I come up with, the right field service? Well, in anything I do, I am the kind of person that I do a lot of research and development. I do a lot of trial and error. I try things out before I use them, and I look heavily into them. I'm the kind of person that my father-in-law, he's an engineer, and he quivers at the thought of asking me a question. Because if he does, it's kind of like you ask me what time it is and you figure out how the clock's made. But since I grew up around software, I grew up around computer equipment. I know what I'm looking for. I know my business. I know what I need. And I came up with a list of things that I had to ask the software developers when we were doing this. And we took a process of about 2 years. And the thing about software is that the evolution of software is so rapid. It's so quick. One person jumps into one market of software, and then there's 3 others that follow shortly after. One of the things I love about Intuit, and I love about QuickBooks, and I love about all their products is that they design products that are very, very easy to use for the end user. I mean, that was the whole issue of QuickBooks, that most accounting software was written for accountants. And what they found is that most people were doing their books the hard way, and they designed software that was usable by the business owner, not by the accountant. And a lot of software that was written in the old days was written by programmers and not understanding usability. Today, usability is something that they test a lot, and one of those leaders in usability studies has been into it. We use all of their products. We have for years. We use their merchant account, their billing software. We use everything that they put out because it works and it's easy to use, and we can train other people to use it very easily also. But when it came to the software, we were originally using CRM software to manage our business. Now, we've gone through about, in case you're wondering, we just didn't arrive at one. I've been using software since day one for scheduling and all that, but we were using a CRM. We were using desktop software, and what I did was I took all the desktop software and I put it on laptop. And then we had to, merge and sync when we got back to the office, the old software that was the way it was being done, but we could get it, all the information we ever needed in the field, and then bring it home and then sync all the software together. And we were able to do that. And we were using QuickBooks, and then we were using some CRM. Then QuickBooks had what was actually Account Manager, that was a desktop software, and we used that for years to schedule and manage and keep notes on the accounts. And when they got rid of that, there was no longer any support for it. They came up with an online version and that would integrate with the desktop, and we used that for a while. But I guess they couldn't make a go of it, and they discontinued the product, and that made us go scrambling for other software to use for scheduling. And so what I know from having to do that every single time, it's a nightmare because you can't always export and import all of the data, and you end up losing a lot of intelligence, a lot of data, and you want to minimize that really at the get-go, so that you don't go through that a couple of times. Then we went with a professional desktop software that required a server to do the field service, and we weren't really happy because a lot of the stuff that we wanted, they say they could do, and the salesman said they could do it, and then when we installed the software, we were working on it, we were on the training. Oh, by the way, it's not really working. And then by the time, we were 3-6 months into this, and it was a very, very frustrating. And after several $1,000s spending on this and getting what we wanted from that software, we ended up canceling it and walking away because they couldn't do it, and we just started looking for other avenues. One of the ones that we really, really looked at, which was what we thought we wanted, was like Pest. Pest is the industry leader and the biggest in pest management software. The problem with Pest, it's too big, it's too cumbersome. It requires you to have an IT guy there to run it, or a manager to learn that software, to manage that software. It's a standalone system which is supposed to do all your financial reporting, and it's supposed to replace a lot of the financial reporting you do, and then you have to export all the data into QuickBooks and sync it, because it doesn't sync. You have to do an export and then do an import, and that's always a nightmare. So plus they have a contract. It's very, very expensive, very difficult to operate. It is desktop version, and it's one of the things we didn't want. But, if you're going to own multi-units and you're going to have several dozen techs in the field, and you're in multi-state, and you need to do a lot of reporting and things that need to get done because the state requires them and all the forms, that's the way to go. I mean, that's what the software. For the average solopreneur, the guy that has 1 or 2 routes, it's an overkill. It's like, it's like bringing a missile, to a gunfight. It's just too much. So we had to look at other pieces of software, very, very cumbersome to use. They're designed in a way that they need a lot of data input from you to be able to customize. They're completely customizable and they work great, but it's just the time that it takes to customize the software to what you want. And all in all, we went through about 28 different pieces of software for field scheduling. Very few would actually integrate with QuickBooks, which is what we needed it to do. At that time, it was QuickBooks Desktop. We were looking at mobile, and we wanted to know what the plans were from that company to really go mobile and go wireless within the next year or two, because that's where we wanted to be. So we had to look at the future and say, where are you? Where are you planning to be? We felt that a lot of people just weren't there. They were completely only focused. I mean, there were still people trying to sell us Palm Pilots. It's like, here we are in the smartphone age, and you want us to buy a Palm, or you want us to buy some specific piece of equipment that requires it to run that. That is just a huge expense to spend $600, $700, $800 on a unique piece of equipment that only does one thing. So those are things we didn't look at. What are the requirements? Well, I needed to integrate with QuickBooks and then eventually transition over to QuickBooks Mobile. We wanted it to be cloud-based. We didn't want the hassle of managing servers because we were all on the road. My goal for my company is to be a virtual company. I do not want corporate headquarters with having to have people in one single place doing one thing in an economy that's evolving for the future. You can work remotely from anywhere with the right technology. We can have a voice over IP on our phone system for our system that anywhere in the world you can transfer a call to anybody just like if they were sitting right next to you. There's no need to this thing. We're building this infrastructure of brick and mortar where you're going to be investing in real estate, investing in office equipment, investing, and then having to pay for all that in taxes at the end of the year because you own property. We wanted to be completely mobile in the field. I want my techs in the field. I want my service managers in the field. I don't want them in offices. I don't want them hanging around the office all day. I need them in the field. I want the people who do accounting can do it remotely from anywhere. I don't need somebody in an office where we need to have a conversation every single day and walk into an office. You can learn to do that without doing it. So we wanted to get to the point where we knew that company was going to be cloud-based and not server-based. We didn't want the job of maintaining servers to have in-house IT people. And every time that server goes down, everybody in the field is completely wiped out, or somebody has to go back and reset a server. We didn't want that. Second is it had to work with the QuickBooks classes for our P&L reporting unless they can prove they had a superior way of tracking individual route expenses, and nobody did. Still, nobody does do this very well. There's one company we're looking at out of Canada for our intranet service for the franchises that offer a lot of that, but we're talking about one expensive piece of software to the tune of about 10 grand. So right now, we're not there yet where we want to spend that. Second, we didn't want to have a traffic manager trained on this software that nobody else could use because it was so convoluted and so complicated that we needed to hire one specific person to do this. I should be able to run this software from an iPad from anywhere in the country. It had to be easy to use for field technicians, giving the field technicians the ability to work with each other, to schedule for specialty services that they're going to have in the field, to be able to schedule that service for a specialty technician or a higher rank technician to be able to do that. We're looking at, we have technicians that can do very simple things like maintenance, but then we're going to need specialty technicians to do specialty jobs. And we do a lot of specialty jobs, especially on ornamentals and plants. And we needed someone that can schedule in the field. That person can pick up the work order and go and take care of it and not have to be going through management to get that done. That was one of the empowerments we wanted to have in the field. The ability to manage multiple tasks in multiple jobs. And let me explain to you why. At that time also, we were a lot larger company than we are now. And we did a lot of specialty ornamental and plant services. Well, we do lawn care. We do shrub care. We do palm care. And we do tree care. And we're not a spray company. We just don't go in, spray everything down once a month, spray everything down every 2 months. We do a lot of specialty services where if the customer has lawn and palm trees, but there's nothing to be done with those shrubs, nothing is wrong with them, or the customer doesn't want the shrubs, or, it's just something that we customize everything for. We go in and we do a complete inventory of every plant. Some people install specialty plants that are going to need service more often than others, and we wanted the ability to be able to schedule when the technician goes on that property. Our services, our lawns are every 2 months, our palm trees are every 4, our shrubs are every 6, our trees, depending on the type of tree. And if you have gumbo limbo trees down here, well, you try to do systemic treatments once a year. Good luck with that. You need to be able to do it every 3 months. So when a customer has 10 gumbo limbos on their property and they need more service, or they have a specific plant that needs service more often, very cumbersome to try to make 5 work orders that the tech has to carry and says, oh, I forgot one. We knew that was going to happen because we went through that. So I said, I need a piece of software that we can incorporate on the same day that they go there, take all the work orders that are created, create one work order, and then create one invoice for the customer. Nobody can do that. There wasn't anybody in the field that could do that. And we were heavily looking for it, and we had to find it. And that was one of the biggest challenges of making this, having multiple tasks that require on the same day different service at different times of the year. Everybody says it can't be done. Nobody can do it. That's one of the challenges that we had. We preferred if we could get GPS tracking and routing. At that time, it wasn't a big deal. It is now. And we needed to work on multiple devices. We needed it to be browser-based, or at least with an app that it would work on Android, it would work on iPhone, it would work on iPad, it would also work on desktop from different browsers. Very hard to do. Those were the things that we had. And we had to get those, and we had to do a lot of interviewing because people would say, yeah, our software can do it. And we go and say, okay, now show me how you actually get this done. And they tried to get it done, and it wouldn't happen. They thought they understood what we wanted, but until you actually sit down with the people and run the software, nobody really understands sometimes what you're trying to do. There was only about 3 pieces of software at that time that could do it. So what did we come up with? Well, like I said, we went through a couple of them. We went through a couple of headaches. They were going to try to do some customization for us, but we were talking about entering into thousands of dollars for a lot of this customization. We finally found the actual piece of software that actually did it. At that time, it only worked with the desktop version. It now works with QuickBooks Mobile. And my favorite I'm going to mention 3 to you that I think will do a great job for you based on everything we've gone through and everything we've seen. For what we want, we wanted it to focus on mainly field service. What a lot of people do is they put so many bells and whistles on a piece of software to make it better and make it more valuable that they just create duplication. So we already had an invoicing software. We already had an estimating software. We already had an accounting software. All we really needed was a scheduling and routing software. And most of the people would throw in, well, our service software does estimating and it does this, and you can keep your bids and you can keep track of it. We already use QuickBooks for all that. Yeah, but we sync with QuickBooks. Yeah, but it's duplication. We don't really want all that. It makes the software heavier. It makes it a lot of things. We wanted the tech in the field to be able to show up to a site, know what he has to do, log in what he did, close the account, have it billed. If need be, we're doing the billing actually in the office where we do monthly billing for all our clients to eliminate the task of the tech having to think, well, what do I charge for this? And do I charge for this? And don't I charge for this? And where do I put it? And the more people you got handling stuff, the more of a headache you're going to get for yourself. So the idea of making it easy for the tech in the field, because if you overburden a tech, the last thing I want a tech to do is after he's had a long day in the field, running around, beating traffic, the weather, the customers, is to sit down and have to do an hour's worth of paperwork. That is just ridiculous to put somebody through that, unless the state requires it, that it has to be in triplicate, filed with the state, because that's the way the state is and there's no other way around it. There's nothing you can do. But other than that, I want the field to focus on the customer and on the work they have to do. I want the salespeople to focus on the customer and the selling and the prospecting, not filling out paperwork to satisfy somebody's ego. Because that's a major problem in companies. Financing needs this reporting because they have to have it in order, and you put all this burden on the technicians in the field to have to do all this account reporting for you because this is what you need done. Automate it, have it integrated so when it does get reported, you can pull the data that you want from there and you don't have to be bugging them. All right. Mine was Intuit Field Service Management for QuickBooks. And this is by Corrigo, the company that makes it. They also make a couple of other enterprise solutions. This is their lower scale model. QuickBooks makes an enterprise solution for multiple locations, for franchises, for multiple stores that you can have. And then this software works together with that in larger scale. So as you grow, it can grow with you, and this company can grow with you. It had all the requirements that we needed. It had class tracking. They understood all this. It took us a long while to actually find, because you're digging through online data and you don't always see all this. And the cost of theirs is not really that bad. You're looking at $35 a tech plus $15 for a contract module. And let me explain, that contract module is what we needed to be able to do multiple tasks on one property with one work order and one invoice. I don't want the rep on that property with 5 different work orders and the customer getting in an email with 5 work orders that got approved for that one property. So that was, they actually do have it. So you're talking about $50 a month per tech, which, let me tell you, if you're going to cry about $50 a month per tech, with the time that a tech will spend in the field, wasting time with paper, with this, that, routing, scheduling, this thing will pay for itself in one day. Okay, if you put your techs through spending hours, when it's costing the company $100, $125, and in some cases with some of our specialty service up to $250 an hour, that it costs us to have a tech running around, with his thumb up his nose. So you want to, this is not that expensive. My second one that we had in trial, and we still do, and we still have it operating, for the reason that it's our backup in case something happens, and we're working with the developer, is called Field Pro Max. Well, let me go back, I'm sorry, to Intuit Field Service Management, because there's one thing that really does irk me, and you need to know this before you do business with them, that for a software company that develops software to make life easy for everybody, they have one bug in the system, and at the initial order, is that when you can order the field service, download the app, integrate it with QuickBooks, get it all done. It sets up really, really quickly. I think it took me about 35, 40 minutes to set up everything, all the features. For some people, 30, 40 minutes, an hour is like too long to set up. That's nothing when compared to when we had to invest 100 to 200 hours into inputting data into software to get it the way we wanted to customize it. It's a couple of hours you're going to invest if you don't know what you're doing. They got really good support for that, and they do have a good support team. They do answer right away. But when you want to order the modules, the 2 add-on modules, they got a time card module that you can add on for another $15 to keep the time cards that sync with QuickBooks. And then they also have the contract module for managing multiple services on multiple properties. If you don't need it, and you only have one service that you do every single time, and you bill one price to that one customer every single time, you don't need the contract module. But if you're doing lawn care, maybe you're doing separate services that you sell in addition to that are preventive services in addition to it at different times of the year, then that's a good option for you. But you have to call in. They're going to send you a paper form. You got to go onto their website, register your credit card with them, not with Intuit, and then send in a form. And I called them on this, and I called them before on it. I said, look, it's been 2 years, guys. You guys should have automated. Well, it's not a software problem. It's a billing issue where billing wants this and that. They want it this way. And I'm like, that's asinine. I mean, at this day and age, it should have one button there, order it, and let billing figure out internally how billing is going to do it, not put that on the customer. So that really irked me. I did call them about it. I did tell them, that it really stinks that every time you got to change a tech or you got to add a tech, that you're going to have to send in this paperwork, which is not that cumbersome. But in this day and age with software, it kind of defeats the purpose of having to do all this. And that was one of the things. Now, they do not have chemical tracking, but that's easily fixed on your invoice with creating basically a product line for products that you use and then adding them to invoice with the amount that you used. Unless your state has a specific requirement, which when you're working on multiple states, they could have some specific requirements. That's easily overcome with the creating an item. The good thing about them, they also have checklists that you can create for the technician for every type of those jobs. So if he's going to be going in and doing a roach protocol, you can create a roach treatment. You can create a checklist for that roach. Make sure he doesn't forget anything. So you can add checklists to the work order, and he has to check off on it and that he did it in order to make sure that the order closes. So I think that's just brilliant on that. Other than that, it's super simple to use in the field. Not a whole lot you have to go through. My second best option that we really like, and we really like these people, is called Field Pro Max. And Field Pro Max integrates seamlessly with QuickBooks. They started working on the classes for us. They got that done. They also got a contract management portion that we suggested on there, and they're working on that. It's still not fully developed. Their other software works perfectly. It works seamlessly with QuickBooks. It integrates in real time with QuickBooks. So you do an invoice in the field, and it schedules and it does it, so it works. It's completely browser-based on any browser. They also got now an app. So everything that we wanted, except for they don't have chemical tracking, but they are working on that. They already consulted me on that to see how they could help develop. Joy Gomez, which is their developer, is just an amazing guy. Very proactive at getting things done. They're really, really trying to be competitive. Their price is $29 for 2 users. I mean, $29 a month. It includes 2 users. So, I mean, it's like $15 a month for one. Really like them. Really, really good piece of software. The other one that we looked at, which is our last option, and it's just because it's pricey. Not only is it pricey, there's a bunch of add-ons. And at first, their syncing wasn't working really well with QuickBooks. I believe they got that fixed. It's called Jobber. That works with QuickBooks. $39 a month if you build annually. So if you pay it all up once, it's $39. If not, it's $59 a month. There's an add-on, $9 for the QuickBooks Sync, which is an add-on. And then if you want to take e-payments, it's $5. It does have chemical tracking. It is the most expensive of them all. And it does have the route management, does have everything that we listed in the beginning. Also, with the neat thing about going back to the Intuit Field Service Management is that you can take payments right on site from the existing merchant account that you have with QuickBooks. All you have to do is sync it with that merchant account. So you're not really buying any more. You don't have to buy, another type of merchant service. With all these companies, you have to use their merchant service to get it online. Field Pro Max doesn't have a merchant account. They're focusing on, they're making it really easy. I think they're listening to their customers saying, we're taking away all the bells and whistles and we're giving you what you need, which is scheduling and routing. This is what we do. Scheduling and routing. It's not about estimating and a whole bunch of other things and bells and receiving payments. You're using QuickBooks for that. The idea is to invoice and then get on QuickBooks to do it. With Field Pro Max, all you do is give them one piece of software that they use, and they don't have, the nice thing is they don't have access to any of the QuickBooks information, pricing, data, clients. There's nothing to download. Security based is really good. So I really do love them. I really do love them. I really do wish that they would fix that problem for their client of having to do paperwork for the software when you order everything through QuickBooks Online, and it's automatically linked to your portal that you have, to your apps, and everything is in there. So other than that, guys, I think you got 3 good ones. There's also, if you don't want to use QuickBooks and you want to go independent, and the software is not an issue for you, and you want something really good that has, the chemical tracking, that you can do credit card processing and all that, but it's all on one piece of software, very affordable. Also, take a look at Gorilla Desk. I'm going to put some notes in on Gorilla Desk because I've talked to their developer on this, and I think they got a really nice piece of software. It just, there's some work you have to do to get all your data into QuickBooks. It's not synced. Because the reason a lot of these guys don't want to go with the syncing with QuickBooks, because QuickBooks charges them for that syncing capability. It is an extra expense for them. But Gorilla Desk is a nice option. I actually do like Gorilla Desk better than I like Jobber. If Gorilla Desk would get the QuickBooks sync, I really would like their software. So in any case, guys, I've had a blast being here with you. Thank you so much for listening. Our numbers are growing. There are more and more people listening to us on a weekly basis. We're really excited about this. We're going to be working with our extension service down here. I'm going to be releasing a date. We're going to be doing some CEU training with the extension service. We're looking at one of the distributors to partner with us, a product distributor partnering with us to do this event, to do CEU training. I do 3 classes on CEU. I do core. I do CEU on GHP, where I teach IPM in that course. And I also do it for lawn and ornamental. And we're going to be doing, and so I'll announce the dates and we'll put it on the site and a link through signing up for those classes that we're going to be doing very in the near future with them. And we're doing a lot of things that are very neat with our extension service. We've been working with them for years. We're also working on an inner city project right now to deal with asthma related. I'm going to have a doctor come on board and talk about what they found in public housing with asthma and allergies, and a person that's working in that inner city trying to get some help to these people. And really neat projects we're getting involved with, really great people that really do care about other people. And I think that's the most important part of what we do, that we really do it because we want to help people. We don't want people living in misery with pests. A lot of the things that I do are cosmetic. They are luxury items, but I think they're to what we do in the field. And for a lot of people, figuring out ways to help those that are really less fortunate than us and that can't afford our services. There's a lot of people out there suffering. We're going to be putting up some pictures of things we found, and it's appalling to see some of the things that we have seen working in the inner city. So we thank you. We thank you for listening, for helping, for being part of the Pest Geek Society. Hey, until next time, folks, have a great one. Thank you for listening to the Pest Geek Podcast. If you have enjoyed the Pest Geek Podcast, please give us a rating, write a review, or subscribe to the channel. You can join the Pest Geek Society by visiting pestgeekpodcast.com. Thank you for listening. See you next time.